these are some very hot takes, so buckle up, YouTube. Hi, I'm Holly.
I'm Jordan.
And this is, what is this? What are we doing right now?
Oh, God, what is this called?
I don't know. The grown-ups do tea time. We're technically adults.
Oh, yeah.
We're sitting in,
Oh,
you know what?
no.
We're taking over tea time today.
Yes.
This is coffin louche.
Say that again.
Coffin louche.
Coffin louche?
It's the German word for sitting down, having coffee, and talking about each other.
Oh my gosh.
That is.
Yes. We're still rolling, right?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
So welcome to Coffin Louche with Holly
And Jordan.
And today we're discussing pet peeves with homeschooling as homeschool graduates. So what was your number one pet peeve with homeschooling?
People always were like, first of all, when you're not in school in the middle of the day.
Right.
And adults see you, they're like, something has gone majorly wrong.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's like you're not allowed to exist outside of school between
Yes.
the hours of 6 and 2 p.m. Like something is gone.
Why aren't you in school, sweetheart?
It's like, I think
Where's
a
your
neighbor
parents?
called the truancy officers on us several times.
Are you serious?
Yeah, she knew we were homeschooled. She was just old and nosy.
Okay, cool. Ours was never that extreme. Granted, we lived on a main road. We weren't in an actual nice neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So people weren't that nosy.
Yeah, no, just the old lady across the street was very upset that I was not where she thought I was supposed to be.
That's a problem.
It was wild.
Ma'am, please stay in your business.
And then she'd be like, "Can you watch my dog for me?" And I was like, "Ma'am."
That is actually why it was people telling my mom.
I did take the money.
But did you ever get this where people would tell your mom how she should be educating you?
Oh, 1,000%.
Right in front of you. You're standing right there.
I was like, try not. First of all, I'm a child, so try not to undercut my authority figure
Literally.
in my vicinity.
And
but
then they're
also,
like,
I'm good.
They're like, are you okay?
Right?
Blink twice for help.
Now I understand. I understand where the concern came from. Look at me. I seem quite healthy, ma'am. I'm okay, I promise. My jean skirt is not to my ankles. I'm good.
That's another thing. Why was it specifically the denim skirts?
Well, here's the thing. Did you ever see the denim skirt homeschoolers?
Only on TV.
Because sometimes I had a really big homeschool group, and sometimes if we did homeschool things, you'd see them appear.
You do.
And be like, it's them. It was like, they were like cryptids. It was like, oh, it's the homeschoolers.
It's the actual home.
It's the people think of when they think about me.
Right? And then you're
truly more what is the word I'm looking for? The people who don't use technology.
Luddites.
Yeah, not
Amish.
Amish looking people, hair down to their and you're like, they exist. It's real. It's real.
Like the Duggars in real life.
Yes.
I watched that show and I was so confused all the time.
I've known those people, but they were always on the fringes. It's that's not the majority group. It's just the weird ones that everyone looks at.
So this was another one of the things that got me. It was the social life. Why would people just come in and be like, how do you ever socialize? Do you have friends?
Because, first of all, there are other homeschoolers. Do you think
Seriously.
we've never spoken to each other?
We're having a conversation right now. Look at our social skills.
We grew up in the age where the internet was functioning.
Yeah.
There are things to do. You go to the aquarium on homeschool day. There are days.
It wasn't just dank memes and TikToks and reels.
Dank memes.
Right?
That's still a funny phrase. But genuinely, there are more of us and we all know each other.
Yeah, and we also played on Fun Brain.
Yeah.
And you remember that?
There were online things, and they were like, here are other people, and I'm like, oh, wonderful.
Right, and then there's these things called co-ops.
Mm-hmm.
And church, where there's humans, and you socialize with
They're
them.
cultural and, structural groups that you are a part of anyway.
And what I found...
what do your kids do when they're not at school?
Seriously,
That's the question.
Seriously, and what I found so interesting was a lot of the times, I actually was much more outgoing and better at making friends than my friends who were traditionally schooled.
Mm.
Because they didn't have to try. Like, they just had their friends given to them by what class they were in.
Yeah.
You know, you became friends because you saw each other every day. Whereas I had to form lasting relationships. And if I wanted to keep those friendships, it was up to me to reach out, to schedule times to have play dates, to like, or hangouts or anything like that. Like, that was all up to me. And so, honestly, I think it made me more socially aware and it made me more outgoing because I had to become responsible for those things.
Yeah, and like, I lived in a neighborhood. There are kids that live there. They get out of school eventually.
Seriously.
What do your kids do when they're not at school? That's what I was doing.
Seriously.
Also, I had sports groups. I was in fencing and track and stuff. You meet people.
Like, we did theater extracurricular. Like, we did some other things. Like, my mom would take us to the library, the coffee shop, and sometimes I'd make friends. Sometimes she would make friends while we were there, and then we wind up exchanging phone numbers, and we like meet new homeschool families that way.
Yep. Honestly, the difference is you get real good at talking to adults.
Yes.
You just get real good at talking to adults.
That is something that was a huge challenge for me at church.
Really?
Because the adults would constantly see me as being rude because I would question them all the time.
I think that's one part homeschooling, one part my family.
Right.
It was like a lot of my family is like, question everyone at all times.
Well, see, but like, my mom taught me that, like, as a child, your opinion is valued.
Exactly.
You know? And that you're
my
allowed
mother too.
to have conversation. So when someone says something and you're like, you know what, I don't know if I agree with you. Adults see an 8-year-old doing that and they're like, disrespect.
It's so odd. And also, I gave odd answers to things, and they were like, this is concerning.
There was one time that we were talking about the flood, like Noah's Ark, at church, and I felt the need to educate my Sunday school teacher on the fact that what I thought at the time, I was like, well, ice expands when it freezes. So if the polar ice caps actually melted, then the world couldn't possibly flood because it's all ice. So it's just a lot bigger in volume right now than we think. And I'm standing here at 8 years old trying to explain why I'm like, and that's why global warming is fake news. This actually happened. Oh my god. Because that's what I thought I had figured out.
I was like, I've connected the dots. I've connected them. My thing, I remember so clearly. They were like trying to get us to do like a personality thing.
Yeah.
Because they always do that. They were like,
They do.
They're just like weird personality quizzes for children. I'm like, we're going to be different people. I'm
Yeah.
like, 3
Like,
years, don't
what's
worry
your
about it.
love language? I'm like, why do you want to know?
This is a strange question. But they were like, do you see the glass half empty or the glass half full? And everyone was going around the table and I was thinking about it probably too hard. And I said, it depends. Has someone drinking out of it or have they just poured the water? And they all said, huh? And I was like, have you been tap dancing on my nerves yet? That's the question. How long has this been going? If it's just poured it, then it's half full. I have all the patience in the world. If you've been drinking my last nerve, then it's very empty, my man. And I think I was like 7.
But see, that actually makes sense though if you think about it.
Like this is contextually driven. I don't know.
Yeah.
Give me more information about this.
I think that's the other thing people assume when you're homeschooled. They're like, well, then you obviously weren't educated at all. And I'm like,
I was like, look, there are some people who do not do it very well.
There's some.
And I've had several friends who, like I met in college, who were homeschooled, and they were struggling with science.
Oh, I did for sure. But see, that's something that we recognized.
Yeah.
Like, my mom, her weaker subjects were in STEM. But what we did, and this was, because we've talked about this a little bit, I've spoken with Mary and Andrea about this, is that we couldn't find a co-op. You know, that's why I care so much about the one in our community right now, Hazelwood Prep, because I didn't have that growing up.
Yeah.
Like, we couldn't find one. And the ones that we did find were kind of cultish.
Yeah, no, that's
Like-
it. I will say there are co-ops. Vet carefully.
You know?
8 out of 10 are a little more culty than you want them to be.
And bless their hearts, we love them. They
Right?
all mean well.
I was like, I just
Like-
don't need the 15th Bible verse in my biology
Right.
textbook. It was unnecessary.
Right. And, like, maybe, like, what if we don't have to all wear the exact same clothes?
We did.
All
Mine,
day.
we did wear the exact same clothes.
Yeah,
that was mine.
like the denim skirts. And
Yeah.
And, like,
But we got to wear pants. Thankfully.
yeah. Yeah, and I don't have anything against denim skirts.
Look,
But
I do, but that's a
it's-
personal preference.
It's the forcing people to wear them that I have a problem with.
The denim skirts were very strange.
Yeah, these are some very hot takes. So buckle up, YouTube.
Are they hot? Are these warm?
Maybe I think they're hot takes because I grew up as a homeschooler, so I'm
like in the community,
whoa.
very hot takes. Generally, everyone's like, I feel like you're defending them. Look, I love co-ops. Co-ops are good. Don't stay in the same one for all things.
Oh yeah,
diversify.
For sure. And like you've got to also branch out. I think another thing that can be really difficult, at least this was for me, graduating.
Mm-hmm.
It was so hard for me to get away from my community. I love them. Like, they're my family, you know? And they're fantastic. And I would not trade that for the world. But, like, you have to get a little space where you can go on your adventure and be yourself.
It's one of the
like,
reasons I believe in college. Because,
Yeah.
like, depending on what you're trying to do.
Right.
I'm not sure college is necessary, but I believe in college because it forces you to be who you are.
Right.
When not amongst all the people who expect you to be
exactly.
a certain person.
Exactly. It's good to either go to school, go to trade school, or just literally like find a place where you want to go work. Like if you're passionate about something and there's an area that does that, go move there and see if you can get a job. Like all those kind of things. You gotta have your own adventure because if you just stay within that community post-graduation,
You'll never evolve.
Exactly.
It's about testing your personality and your beliefs against people who do not expect anything from you.
It's like the unfortunate phrase that people say is like, you gotta experience the real world. Like, okay,
Yeah,
I
sure.
hate that phrasing, but it is important to expand your worldview.
Yeah.
And to get outside your bubble and realize that there's differing opinions and that you need to like figure out what you believe and feel about your life.
And it'll force you to think about why you believe things.
Exactly.
And then when you can't do that by yourself, then you're going to suddenly get shoved into a situation, and now you're like feel like you're being attacked, and you're not. You're just people having a conversation with you.
Because you never got that chance to get outside your community and grow on your own. So if you've just graduated from a homeschool community, leave.
Yep.
Get away for like a year or two.
Every one of the kids, I'm like,
and then
you don't
back.
have to go to college, but you need to get the hell out of here.
Yes.
I don't want to see you for a year. Come back, call me whenever you need something.
Seriously.
Shoo.
Like, I
Bye.
love you, boo, but go. And
Please.
then come back.
You can come back whenever you want. You can come back in like intervals. Get out of here.
You need to grow.
It's necessary.
One thing I wish I would have seen more prevalent in homeschooling is diverse thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really hot take.
1,000%.
That's really hot take.
It
Mom,
is a
if you're
hot
watching
take.
this, I love you so much. You did a fantastic job. I would love to see more diverse thought.
The reason my mother made this school is because of the lack of diverse thought in homeschooling.
Right.
Truly.
And actually, that is something we really ran into, and I love that my mom did that because we tried to find curriculum, and it was like we were always having to mix and match because we would go to Bob Jones, Abeka, and like she literally wound up making her own curriculum sometimes, which is probably it's how this started too.
1,000%.
Because she was like, I don't like any of this because you go to Bob Jones, and like even in a Christian background, okay?
Yeah. No, I know.
Even
My
in
dad was a
Christian
deacon,
background,
but like Bob Jones is
Bob Jones is
a lot.
it's too much.
Look,
It's way
my
too
co-op
much.
went to Bob Jones for competition every year, and that skirt they made me wear to my ankles every time was a lot.
You actually had to go there?
I've been to Bob Jones campus 4 times for a week straight.
Are you okay?
And afterwards, no, I had nightmares. I'm not joking. It was not fantastic.
Have you read their handbook?
We were not allowed to physically touch the opposite sex.
Yeah, not allowed.
I asked if you read the handbook for a reason.
It was written down. Give me your hand. Give me your hand. We would do this with our friends. Hand hug, and then we dash. We would run in opposite directions. Rebellion. And we would just go.
Rebellion. I choose chaos today.
In the skirt, I had to hike above my calves to run. It was not. They're allowed to wear jeans now. I have friends who teach at that school. They're allowed to wear pants after 4 p.m.
My grandmother after 4 p.m.
Yes.
What the frick?
It's very specific. You're allowed to wear denim pants after 4 p.m. We're not allowed to wear pants at all. They have to be slacks. It's business casual on campus until 4 p.m.
What is happening?
I know a lot about Bob Jones.
So my grandmother went there for like a year. Back in like 19 something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's a long time ago. And she got some stories.
The principal of my co-op went to Bob Jones.
Right.
And that's why we did the competition every year, because she was like, this is such a great place for us to do things. And I will say, very competitive competition. It was
Of course.
all arts.
Oh, absolutely.
Very heavy choir competition. Like, it was hard.
It's an incredible school.
But it's
like
good
what you
school.
have to go through. Is it worth it?
No.
Like your mental health, man.
Oh, we had to go to the arts exhibit. If you've never been before, as a freshman, you had to go to the art exhibit.
Yeah.
It wasn't mandatory. They have the largest collection of Christian art outside of the Vatican.
Oh my gosh.
I have a very clear picture of John the Baptist's head on a silver platter just rattling around in the brain.
That's upsetting.
It's very vivid.
That's really upsetting.
It is. I'm just like,
I'm upset.
it's in a tiny, I remember it specifically, it's in a tiny alcove with stained glass
Is
window.
it like a statue?
And it's right there. It is about this big painting of John the Baptist's head on a silver platter. And you're just like, odd. Anyways, gotta go.
That's unsettling.
It is.
I don't like
the
that.
art is unsettling. It is.
So I had a Bob Jones literature curriculum,
Mhm.
and I remember we were going through the American Lit, which that was like my favorite subject. I was obsessed with the literature. And we were reading excerpts from some of Ray Bradbury's work. And I remember we sat down and we were laughing, and my mom was like, I'm done with this. Because we sit down to read it, and there is a blurb like this long that is just a disclaimer about how Ray Bradbury was a secular person and we don't agree with all of his views and beliefs, but he's a part of American literature, so we have to. And do you know what my mom did? She marched down to the library, got the list of all the banned books, and got us Fahrenheit 451, and we sat down and we read like 3 or 4 of Bradbury's collections. She's like, okay, we're done with literature for like the rest of the semester. We're doing nothing but a deep dive on Ray Bradbury.
You know how my mom did literature? So I was not a big reader when I was very young. Reading was just weird for me. And then she was like, okay, here's a book, and then she write a date into the back of it. It's like, finish it by this date and you get a prize. Man, my nails looked good. I had manicures constantly. And after that, and I read almost 90% of my time now.
That's amazing.
And she was like, pick out a book, any book, start reading.
I love it. For me, it just didn't click until it did.
Yeah, the library got sick of me.
Same. I managed to check out every single art tutorial book in the entire Gwinnett County system at one point. I had read all of them.
I took out so many books at some points that I used both my card and my mother's card, and I returned them before I had the expiration date.
You know what? That's the other thing. I feel like kids who are traditionally schooled do not know how to use the library.
Anyways. No, I will say
kids who are traditionally schooled.
Due to the dumpster fire.
But no, legitimately, they do not understand the Dewey Decimal System.
They don't.
I don't.
But I also don't know what you just said.
Who's
The Dewey Decimal System?
Help.
I don't know anyone under the age of like 20 who knows the Dewey Decimal System.
Jordan,
Am I old?
Jordan,
Wait.
what's the Dewey Decimal System?
So you know when you're on the library in those little those little square pieces of paper they have stuck to the side with all the numbers and like the author? That's the Dewey's Decimal System.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just the way they categorize.
I kind of know how to use that.
Yeah. It's not super intuitive, but you're in the library enough, you start to get it.
I have dyscalculia, so the numbers always just scrambled to me, and I went by the last name.
That's fair. No, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
This has been a coffee clutch with Holly
And Jordan.
Is it still going?
Oh, wonderful. Hi.